What is up, guys? You already know what it is. It's another Cars of Shami review, and this week we have been checking out the all-new Ford Ranger Wildtrak X, or Wildtraks, if you want to call it that. So, as always, I'm gonna tell you guys everything that you need to know about this bad boy and how much it costs and what it's been like to live with. So, keep it locked. So, starting at the front, as always, with the exterior looks. Up front, we've obviously got Ranger badging on the bonnet over there, and we've also got a darkened out grille, which you can see, which looks pretty mean and lovely as well. Exclusive to this model, as you can see, are these spotlights here, and they also serve the purpose of matrix LED headlights, which work superbly well in the nighttime. So what they do is they basically can have the high beams on without dazzling other drivers, so they can blank out certain parts of the actual high beams to not dazzle other drivers. So that's a pretty neat feature. And of course, you've got blackened out bumper elements with the contrasting silver. But exclusive to this Wildtrak X model, you also get this orange detailing around the front over there. Moving over to the side, you've got these all-terrain tires, which are really mean and tough, and they are essentially serving the purpose of off-roading. So because this is a more off-road focused vehicle, these tires are definitely going to suit your off-roading needs. We've also got these really cool alloy wheels, which I think are pretty neat, and they are finished in a two-tone design. We've also got these contrasting black fenders over there. And moving over to the side, we've got these Raptor inspired side steps, which are so tough and so mean. And of course, some more Wildtrak X badging, just in case you forgot which car you're driving. So, moving over to the back of the Wildtraks, you've got, exclusive to this model, once again, this flexible rack system, which is pretty cool. So it's essentially a system where you can load stuff. So you can actually bring this all the way to the back and essentially use the roof rails to position larger items across the top like that. And it makes things a lot easier actually. But I haven't had the opportunity to test it out, but take my word for it, it does work pretty well. So furthermore, you've obviously also got the easy lift tailgate with the roller shutter, which is electrically operated, like so, as you can see. And of course, you've got a rubberized load bed, which is pretty large enough for all of your needs. Some of the practicalities that you get here are you get two power ports over there, as well as a number of tie down points as well. So I think overall, from a bucket perspective, you're pretty well sorted on that front. So, speaking about the practicality in the back seats of the Wildtraks, you'll be pleased to know that you've got a ton of storage space should you need, as you can see. So this folds away, you basically tie it over there, and you also got some of your emergency repair kit stuff, but also it frees up a lot of space, as you can see. But should you wish, you can jump in like so, and as you can see, I've got enough knee headroom and footroom. I mean, I'm sitting behind my own driving position, and this is pretty neat. I mean, I'm happy back here. We've also got a few creature comforts like air vents. You've got a USB-C port as well as a USB-A port, and you've also got a 400-watt power socket over there, which is pretty neat. So overall, I'm pretty happy. So, jumping into the front seats of the Wildtrak X, you've obviously got a very familiar cabin. I mean, it's pretty much everything that you've been used to in a Ranger. So, obviously, multifunctional leather steering wheel, you've got your air vents over here, your cup holders, of course, and of course, your portrait style infotainment touchscreen. What's different though is you do get this extremely nice material over here with some orange detailing in the stitching as well. You also get it here on the dashboard, and over here on the passenger side you get Wildtrak X embroidery as well as on the seats. Of course, the baddies need to, see what they're driving when they're snapping. So yeah, obviously very familiar. You've also got a Bang& Olufsen sound system, which is banging. So overall, the cabin is really neat. It's obviously very familiar. All the controls are very familiar. You've got your shortcut air control vents of controls over there, and of course all of your menus that you need to that you may need to control in there as well. Obviously, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. I mean, everything is pretty easy to use. The menus are quite simple to understand, although some functions I would feel would be better as certain shortcuts as buttons out here. But overall, no complaints on that front. You've got a wireless charger over here. You've got a USB-C port as well as a USB-A port, and you've got two cup holders. Storage in here is actually pretty impressive if you ask me. I mean, as mentioned, you've got these cup holders over here. You've got a little tray over here for your French fries. You've got some decent storage over here in the door bins, and underneath the armrest over there, there's also a pretty good amount of storage as well. So, under the bonnet of the Ford Ranger Wildtrak X, we get the tried and tested, very familiar 2-liter 4-cylinder bi-turbo diesel engine. So, as we may all know, it is capable of 154 kilowatts and 500 newton meters of torque, which is plenty enough for this car. It was plenty in the previous outgoing Ford Ranger, and it's sufficient enough in here as well. In fact, I think some of the workings that they did to this specific engine for this next gen model have actually made it a bit more responsive, which I am very happy with. So, of course, it is mated to a 10-speed automatic transmission, which goes about its duties effortlessly well. I mean, there really are no complaints with this drivetrain. So, of course, the two really work very well together. It is a really good pairing. So, I'm quite happy with that. In terms of comfort wise, from a day to day perspective, I would say that this does feel slightly compromised, but very slightly, and that could be due to the all-terrain tires that this car is running. So, of course, this isn't a normal Ranger Wildtrak. It's obviously got a more off-road focus. So it's got a higher suspension than the usual or the normal Ranger Wildtrak, and it's obviously got a more off-road tuned suspension, if I can put it that way. So of course, that would make the ride a bit compromised. Not the fact, or not meaning that it is uncomfortable by any means. Definitely not. It is a very comfortable ride, especially on a day-to-day perspective. But some of the bumps are a bit more jarring than what you would normally find in the standard car. So, as I've been mentioning that this is obviously off-road focused, this Wildtrak X also features a really cool feature which is called Trail Turn Assist. And essentially what that does is once engaged, if you're off-roading and you need to be maneuvering around tight spaces and that sort of thing off the beaten track, then what the system does essentially is it locks the inner wheel, which essentially then kind of makes it really tightens the turning circle, which then in turn makes tightening maneuvers a lot easier, and it obviously then shortens the turning circle, which for off-roading is actually so great. So I think I haven't had the opportunity to test it out myself, but from what I hear from colleagues, it is a really cool feature. So thumbs up to Ford on that one. So this car obviously is very capable when it comes to towing. I mean, it can tow up to 3,500 kilograms. So that is pretty neat. I had the opportunity to do a bit of towing with it, albeit something very light. So I had a trailer hooked up to the car, and I had a bunch of stuff that were loaded into the trailer, and not the heaviest kind of stuff, but I was really confident towing with this car because, of course, there is a towing mode. So, what that does is it basically speaks to the driving assistance systems, and it basically you can input the length of your trailer and other parameters. And essentially, what that will do is, for example, your blind spot monitoring system will now be aware of where your trailer ends, and that will then obviously then relay that information to you. So for example, if you've got a car in your blind spot, the car the van will pick up where the other vehicle would be based off of where the trailer ends, which is pretty neat if you ask me. Of course, it does also have features such as sway control for trailers, which essentially minimizes the amount of sway that you get due to wind and other factors when you are towing something at the back of the car. So I think overall these are really features that will appeal to people who are looking to buy into something like this and actually use it for what it's intended for. So, speaking of driving assistance systems, this also obviously has a full suite of those kinds of safety systems that you get in these next gen models. So, that includes lane keeping assist, It includes the rear emergency braking assist. It includes forward collision warning. You know, all of those niceties that people like and enjoy in modern cars. Another cool feature, obviously, is when you're driving on the highway, you can just slap on cruise control. The car will keep itself a safe distance from the car in front, and it will keep you at the center of your lane. So essentially, making long distance traveling fuss free. Like now, easy, relaxed. Thank you, Ford. So, pricing, probably what you've been waiting for this entire review. So, this Ranger Wildtrak X is priced at a smidge over 1 million rand, which, if you ask me, for this specific model, is a bit unjustifiable, and I'll tell you why. So, yes, it is a more off road focused vehicle. It does have the higher suspension, the off road tires, and the trail turn assist, as well as the flexible rack system. But those last two are actually optional extras which you can get on this car. They're not standard, but you can only get them on this model. So, to me, it begs the question, are they really that important? And does that then justify the premium that you pay over the standard Wildtrak model? And to me, in my opinion, the answer to that is no. Personally, I'd rather get the Wildtrak, which already for me looks good enough, and I think is capable enough in terms of off-roading, as an offering on its own. So I personally don't see the need to want to buy this, but of course there are those people who will perhaps find those features a lot more appealing, and of course they would then opt for the Wildtrak X. But for me, standard Wildtrak 2-liter bi-turbo is good enough, and I think most people will be good enough or happy with the normal Wildtrak too. But let me know, would you pay almost 100,000 rand more? If not, I'll put the pricing up here as well. Would you pay that premium over the normal Wildtrak for this Wildtrak X, or where would you spend your money? Let me know down in the comments. But that's it from me, guys. It's been an amazing review, and it's always great hearing from you guys about these cars that I'm reviewing. But of course, if you want to see more of this cool content, you know what you got to do. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and of course, comment and let me know what you guys would like to see in the future. But don't forget to follow me on my socials. I'll link them down below. And I'll see you guys on the next review. Cheers.